The One Absolute. Srila Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Shri Krishna Chaitanya told us that we should first acquire self-determination, without which we will mistake the mind for the soul. Mind is quite different from soul. The mind conducts all the activities of the physical plane. It receives impressions from nature through the medium of the senses and through the functions of our body, that is, through the mind's interfacing with external objects, which are made of matter. Although we are habitually occupied with matter, when we begin to study theism, that is, when we enquire about the actual figure of Godhead, we find within the 4 seed verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, Chatushloki Bhagavatam, the words that the Absolute Fountainhead spoke to Lord Brahma, the creator of this material universe. If I am to bestow my mercy upon anyone, I must reveal myself to him fully. Those with wayward aspirations and minds that tend to speculate will be debarred from attaining unobscured perception of my actual size, figure and color. If I do not confer my mercy upon them, they will simply miss me altogether. In light of this, Shri Krishna Chaitanya has disparaged all mundane thinkers, who are busy with grand philosophies or diligently adhering to their mundane ethics, along with all those who propagate their own humanitarian enterprises. We find in the writings of our Acharyagan that, in essence, no one should wrongly consider that when we speak of Shri Krishna we are speaking of an entity who is wholly different from Shri Ramchandra. The fact that we talk of Shri Krishna does not mean we are differentiating between Shri Krishna and Shri Ramchandra. For Shri Ramchandra and Shri Krishna are not essentially different entities. They are identical. But just as in this world, the perverted reflection of the transcendental plane, we find that a single man considers himself to be the father of one person, the son of another and the physician of someone else. In the transcendental realm, also, we find that the same, one absolute appears in manifold aspects. So let no one imagine that we are talking of wholly different objects when we mention the Avatargan. Vasudev is the same as Lakshmi Narayan. Lakshmi Narayan is identical with Sitaram. Sitaram is the same as Radha Krishna. We do not find any differences between them. There should not be any controversy in this matter, and, aside from their respective planes of ras, there is no scope to draw a distinction between Shri Krishna and Shri Ram. We simply want to appreciate the respective positions of the One Absolute, and we have no ambition to change our position. Still, we must strive to render all possible confidential services to the Oversoul, and there is no harm in this. Yet in relation to Ramchandra we find that in one kind of worship all of our activities cannot be 100% engaged for him. In another only some portion of our activities are engaged in serving the entity of our adoration, while the other portion is kept aside for our selfish, personal use. These kinds of worship are not perfectly selfless. We often find in this world that a man believes himself to be the master of a range of subordinate properties. He proclaims, I have many servants, I have a large estate, I have great learning, and so forth. It would not really be compatible with human nature were a man to confine himself to a single aspect of an entity, for then he would have nothing to do with the other aspects of that same entity. If we were to cast aside all of that one integer's awe-inspiring and majestic attributes apart from his absolute blissfulness and his absolute ecstatic beauty, we would be known to have advanced quite far in our theistic aspirations for that fullest form. So when we approach Shri Krishna we find that all sorts of aspects are fully in him and we can offer all sorts of confidential services to him, with our transcendental and eternal body. We can offer ourselves to him in all ways with the closest intimacy. We must not think that restricting ourselves to a particular aspect shall result in a quarrel with someone involved in another school of thought or philosophy, or that it shall result in some other religious controversy. There shall be little scope for that since our attention should, at all times, Be 100% devoted to Him and His counter whole. This is the general outline of the teachings of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Lord Krishna Chaitanya is the combined personality of the predominating and predominated moieties of the Absolute. We, the individual souls, are endowed with a mixed aptitude. Our consciousness possesses a twofold potentiality. It becomes cognizant of material categories, but it is open to the influence of the spiritual as distinguished from the mundane. Lord Chaitanya is our only support and the source of our animation. He is the only object of our worship. As a matter of fact, every activity of ours owes its possibility and existence to His initiative and works as a natural result of His own activities. Lord Chaitanya displays the pastime of seeking Himself. All through His manifestation, He is found most anxiously devoted to the exclusive quest for the absolute Godhead, His predominating moiety, Sri Krishna. We, His eternal proteges, are conditioned to follow His lead in this matter. And if we do follow Him, we shall be doing the right thing. By following Him we will obtain knowledge of the realm of the Absolute. We will no longer have to remain trapped within the narrow scope of the material dimensions. Yet we are handicapped by our mixed aptitude. We have the option of becoming involved with the spiritual, but we also have the option of meddling with the material. As soon as we indulge this mixed aptitude by mistaking it to be our real function, our progress toward the Absolute is obstructed and we find ourselves subjected, for the most part, to insurmountable disqualifications. These disqualifications have been analyzed and classified under 4 groups: the tendency to commit mistakes, bhram, inadvertence, pramad, deception, vipralipsa, and limited, imperfect senses, karanapatav. These are very serious defects. They make it impossible for us to obtain even a glimpse of transcendence. Hence there arises the compelling necessity of seeking the help of those who are free from those defects. The functioning of our present senses does not give us any knowledge of the whole truth. On the contrary, it always keeps us away from the full, eternal, blissful being. We are prevented from full access to uninterrupted existence, uninterrupted knowledge and unbliss. Although these constitute the reality to be gained by the exercise of our present facilities, we obtain instead the so-called knowledge of the things of this world. We perceive matter alone, and we can imagine a state of material negation, yet neither of these is reality proper. We cannot avoid the existence of distinctions, but we shall necessarily entertain any thesis we may encounter regarding distinctive entities, under the operation of the 4-fold defects mentioned above. It is, however, incumbent on us to try to be perfectly free from those defects. Methods based on sense experience are useless for this end, for they can never free us from those defects. Those who rely upon the resources of mind express themselves through language. The words exchanged between such people are more or less defective and mutually contradictory. The experience of a particular moment is different from true experience. We are trying to gain admission into the realm of true experience, and we hanker to make progress in such experience. It is our purpose thereby to fall in love with the real entity. This is the supreme goal,